Thank you for joining. Today's topic is B2B trends in digital economy. Our guest of honor today is Chandana Gopal. She is the research manager for multi-enterprise integration at IDC. And this is your host, Navdeep Sidhu from Software AG. For those of you who are not familiar with Software AG and the company, I have one quick slide about us, and that will give you a quick overview of the organization, and then we will go into the topics that we will cover in today's presentation. Software AG is a global software vendor headquartered in Darmstadt, Germany, and our U.S. headquarters are in Reston, Virginia, in the D.C. metro area. With 70% of the global 1,000 companies using our products, we also have 2 million plus developers and 2.5 million plus users using our products globally. So our products help organizations transform into digital enterprises so that they can differentiate from competitors and better engage customers, partners, and employees. So let's move on to the agenda. And today we will be covering why the enterprises are rethinking the B2B infrastructure, especially in light of the digital transformation that is happening these days, and then how B2B infrastructure is evolving and how the customers are adopting their existing infrastructures to handle the change. And from IDC's standpoint, what do they think companies should do to handle this change and consider the facts for B2B selection? On the Software AG side, I will be covering the digital business platform, the products, an overview of our B2B and MFT solutions, and finally we'll have Q&A. And with that, I hand over to Chandana.
Thank you, Navdeep. I appreciate the introduction. I'd like to start today with going a little bit on the big picture. I'd like to look at the graphic on this picture, and what you'll see down in the bottom of the diagram is you'll see the first and second platform. These refer to the era of legacy mainframes and client-server-based architectures that are present in pretty much all large enterprises even today. The area above that is the third platform, and that is being driven by four major pillars: cloud, social, mobile, and big data. Today, the third platform is already the new core of IT market growth. More than 100% of IT spending growth and virtually all enterprise strategic new digital transformation initiatives are being built on these four pillars. IDC even believes that by the end of 2017, that's 2 years from now, 2/3 of all CEOs of global 2,000 companies will have digital transformation at the center of their corporate strategy. And in the next 2 years, 50% of all IT spending will be for these third platform-based technologies, solutions, and services. And this is especially important from an industry point of view. So big picture aside, what does that mean for you in B2B? It means that modern business is changing and B2B infrastructure has to evolve to keep up with business. Let's talk about some of the changes that are happening in modern business. For one thing, business users are controlling a bigger and bigger chunk of IT spending, and they are demanding better services from IT, including B2B operations. I've done a lot of customer interviews. Some of the pain points that I hear all the time are that they're really frustrated when it takes too long to onboard a trading partner and start doing business with them. They don't like it when they have to wait several days before changes in maps or document types are reflected in operations. And they don't like it when they don't get reports, when they have to wait to get reports because just one person can run reports on the B2B transactions that they have exchanged with their trading partners. The point is mission-critical information, order-to-cash information, is being run through B2B operations, and it has to be scalable and reliable and be able to be analyzed in order to be useful to the business user. The key takeaway from this slide is that there has to be modern B2B architecture in place that can support innovation, drive value, and become a strategic asset as enterprises move towards the goal of digital transformation, because all of these have direct impact on innovation and revenue generation. So let's talk some of the specific changes that are happening in B2B integration. The third platform is changing the integration world. The bottom line is that it is getting more and more complex. Let's look at each of these points of the slide. Where we used to deal with in the past, we used to just deal with our own data centers and client server-based architectures. Now have to deal with connectivity across clouds, our own clouds, our trading partners' clouds, and involves mobile and IT architectures as well. We went from a known limited set of channels with many point-to-point spaghetti connections to needing to support end-to-end business processes. The decision makers now are not just IT folks on what technology to buy, but it's rather a partnership between business and IT. In fact, we think about 67% of IT spending is being controlled by business. For connectivity, we used to use VANs and software, on-prem software and maybe managed services before, but our business partners usually dictated the SLAs that we operated around. But with digital transformation and the API economy, the speed of doing business has increased so much in the past, so we have to include our whole business network in supporting our operations. We used to have batch processing and reactive reporting, but we want to move to a more predictive model with an always-on capability to process messages and files from our partners and customers. Our focus used to be on meeting the SLAs that were presented to us by our large trading partners, but now with increasing omni-channel competition, the demands from our business users, we need to focus on helping deliver value to the end customer, not just the trading partner. In the third platform with digital transformation, entire supply chains are being reinvented, and we have to be prepared for that. By 2017, a majority of companies that don't adapt to the third platform and to digital transformation will start seeing a decline in their business. And a really important part of that is the ability to support your business network. We've talked about business networks, but what is it? It is about having connected partners, connected employees, connected products, connected customers, and operating in a more multi-enterprise scale. You're not just operating within your own firewall, which used to be what we saw in the first and second platforms. In the third platform, it's about extending beyond the walls of your enterprise. The business network is like a social network where you have to register and create your profile and connect to all other entities that you do business with and try to automate these processes across these entities. Think about this. If you're a retailer and you realize that there's going to be a shortage of an item, if your usual suppliers in your network carry it, going out towards a business social network can see who else might have that item and can get it to you before you even run out, in which case you've improved your customer satisfaction. Transactional data in the third platform is not locked within an enterprise. It is shared on an external basis. We are also seeing things like cognitive analysis being layered on top of the information you get on business through your transactions. So you're not just being reactive to what has happened in the past. You're going to be able to say, okay, all these areas are coming together and they're telling me that I might run out of something in the future, so I can adapt to be able to address that problem before it happens. You want to be real-time and event-enabled. So you know when something happens automatically and you're able to address that. The next slide, we address some of the changes that are happening in MST because it's related closely to what's happening in business-to-business integration. A lot of folks will say that managed file transfer has been around forever, so there's nothing really new about it. But I will argue that although it's been around for a long time, the demand for it is stronger than ever. More and more, and the reason for that is more and more computing has moved to the edge. For example, we have windmills in remote locations with sensors that are constantly spewing tons and tons of data, or farm equipment that have sensors that are generating data. And these don't send data in real time. They're collected together in some kind of a cloud or a data collection mechanism, and then transferred through a file for analysis. Another reason for the growth in managed file transfer is the growth in cloud computing. 65% of businesses subscribe to some kind of a hybrid cloud architecture within their infrastructure. So you need MST to be able to move these files between clouds and between data center to cloud, and that's also driving growth in this segment. MST is also being layered with orchestration capabilities. It's not about just receiving a file as an endpoint. It's about being able to know what to do with that file and being able to send it or route it with intelligent routing to its final destination. FTP is not an option anymore when you consider implications like data security and sovereignty. The total cost of ownership of something like MFT is actually lower than if you use free FTP just by the amount of time it takes to troubleshoot and error check alone. So MFT is a growing need in B2B integration. We're seeing it rolled in more and more together by vendors that are offering both capabilities. So again, let's go back to what does how B2B is being impacted by the third platform. The point I'm making here is that IT and B2B specifically is not just about keeping lights on. It is to help businesses succeed in the third platform. So if you have to think about how you can support your business user in the way they engage with their customers, the way they can deliver products and services, it's about how you can support innovation, how reliable operations can be, and the overall ability to withstand changes to the business environment. By having modern B2B, I mean that you can become a strategic asset within your organization. So let's go to the next point about how B2B is evolving. There are several reasons why enterprises are rethinking their business B2B infrastructure, and the first one is about achieving operational excellence. The drivers for operational excellence are lowering costs, improved customer responsiveness, and faster time to market. I used to be satisfied with 5 to 7 day shipping timeframes when I ordered something online, but now that I have the ability to get something within 2 days, I do not shop at retailers that offer 5 days, that insist on 5 days for delivery. But enabling something like shipping, it needs incredible efficiencies to happen within the supply chain. The challenging thing is that these efficiencies have to be achieved under significant cost pressures. So one of the customers I had spoken with said that their senior management had mandated that they decrease their EDI costs in spite of having a 20% increase in transaction volumes. Their cost per transaction went down from $1.50 to 9 cents over a period of 6 years. That is a pretty significant decline. Another case study is that of a pharmaceutical distributor that waged a war on eliminating paper-based business flows in its contracts department. That department processed more than 1.2 million invoices a month, and that represented $8 billion in cash flow. That's a huge amount of money. So automating these manual processes allowed them to pay for their investment in modern B2B in just 1 year. Often the biggest cost savings are achieved by removing manual touch points and increasing the automation. So how can you do that? First, you can shift some of the B2B responsibilities to your customers by implementing self-service. You give your customers or your trading partners the ability to do level 1 troubleshooting, so they just don't call you immediately if something goes wrong. You also engage in more end-to-end integration with your trading partners. Second, you try to see if you're not already doing automation with using things like EDI, if you're still sending emails and faxes, maybe you start implementing EDI and use standardization in order to automate transactions. Third, see if you can automate using MFT. If you can automate your file transfers, you actually save a lot of time and money and resources. We are also seeing new ways of being able to connect with your customers. The traditional forms of connectivity were AS2 or using HTTP, but we are now seeing APIs being used for connectivity between trading partners. Troubleshooting and visibility are also extremely important if you want to achieve operational excellence. You need to have visibility into transactions and to have the ability to drill down and troubleshoot if something goes wrong. We are seeing integrations between B2B systems and trouble ticketing systems to automatically generate trouble tickets when a B2B transaction has failed. Another way to reduce costs is that having the ability to shift onboarding and troubleshooting to business analysts rather than programmers, and that is possible only with a modern B2B system. This will help you improve efficiency by freeing those programmers to focus on more value-added strategic tasks. The next step, if you have achieved operational excellence already, and if you're already able to do all these items that I spoke about in the previous slide, you start thinking about layering analytics. It's just one box in this diagram, but it's extremely important. You want to be able to get predictive analytics. You want to be able to get the predictive state rather than the reactive state. People want to get insights from trading partner data, and those insights are available because all the order-to-cash transactions are flowing through B2B. Purchase orders, invoices, change orders, cancellations, all of those have a wealth of information that can be farmed to be able to get to that predictive state. Supply chain executives are typically very excited by this because they can do demand forecasting by running analytics on B2B to affect outcomes. So what are some of the things you can do to be able to implement these kind of analytics? Well, B2B has historically been about data in motion. It was about getting transactional data from point A to point B. But in order to do analytics, that data has to be stored at rest. So you have to think about integrating your B2B with a storage location that business users can use to run those analytics. If you have a big data use case, there may have to be a big data store integrated into the architecture. Your B2B gateway must be able to receive and process these large volumes of data that can then be analyzed to get insights. I had one of the customers talk to me about getting, all of a sudden, starting to get point-of-sale information from their retailers that they had to then process in order to be able to figure out how much to supply to them in order to be able to have the right amount of inventory and not too much or too less. So once you're able to analyze and identify trends in your transactional data, the possibilities become endless. The most important factor is that you have to partner with a B2B provider that can operate at scale with you. And the third step is being innovative through collaboration. So the first and second platforms that I talked about were about being able to be efficient within your own organizations. It was about getting things like ERP systems in place, inventory systems in place, all those automations that used to happen within our four walls. But with the third platform, we're talking about extending this outside the enterprise. It's about participating in multi-enterprise business networks. So the top two blocks in this diagram are about intelligent multi-enterprise orchestration. In the previous slide, we talked about orchestration with B2B within and your own business processes, so connecting your trouble ticketing processes with B2B in order to get faster response times. In this case, we are taking it beyond the enterprise boundaries, and it is about participating in end-to-end multi-enterprise business processes. This is best explained with an example. If you take the example of airline manufacturers like Boeing and Airbus, for example, they have been excellent in providing leadership in understanding how multi-enterprise orchestration works. A common theme for all airlines is that no plane ever makes money by staying on the ground. So to help keep planes flying longer and to keep time to a minimum, airline manufacturers created these large networks where their customers, that is the actual airlines, as well as the OEM manufacturers and the parts distributors, all brought their systems together and shared data in a way that they could all benefit from it. So when a plane is about to land at one airport, a line technician can actually run a diagnostic on the plane and figure out that a part is possibly failing because it's comparing that data that is being transmitted from that part with all the data that's available from the OEM manufacturer of that part and saying that these are the points that indicate that this part is going to fail. So then that line technician can order that part and have it available to that airline, to that aircraft at its next destination without anything ever having gone wrong. So contrast this to the way things would happen in the past, that an airline would be grounded for as long as it needed to be able to get that part to the right destination and serviced in time. So these are the kind of things that are possible with multi-enterprise orchestration. But the key feature is that it's really important to get security right, because in this case, we're talking about exchanging information across competitors. I mean, airlines are the deepest competitors among each other, so you have to make sure that an airline only sees data that's relevant to itself and doesn't see any competitive data. So to have the security from, things like managed file transfer, to have data sovereignty, and have highly secured B2B operations is critical in order to be able to implement multi-enterprise orchestration. So going to my last segment about what you should consider before doing a B2B selection. You have to consider where you are in the timeline, in the continuum between being, completely unautomated to being able to do multi-enterprise orchestration. So first, if you're starting from greenfield and you don't have a lot of automation in place to exchange trading partner information, consider improving that quality of automation using EDI and MFT. If you have a lot of manual work that's happening, that will save you a lot of money to be able to automate that and reduce any costs that are associated with manual error checking. If you have the ability to implement self-service with either with your trading partners or using business analysts to do those kind of jobs, the first level troubleshooting, go ahead and do that. That again will save a ton of money and get you to the point of being operationally efficient faster. And mainly partner with your business users. They know, they are the first line, they hear the complaints from your customers. So ask them what you can do to make your B2B more efficient. And if you have achieved that, if you're already there, if you've done all those, if you already use EDI for a bulk of your operations, you're already automating your file transfers, see what you can do if there are new data streams that you can harness in order to become more innovative. Going back to the example I talked about where you get point of sale data, maybe you can see if those kind of data points are now available from your retailers or from anyone else in your supply chain that can provide it to you, and you can then use the data in order to become more competitive. APIs, I mean, that is one of the fastest growing segments of middleware that is happening right now. We are seeing huge amounts of growth of companies using RESTful APIs and creating new forms of innovation by connecting to their trading partners or their business networks using APIs. If you have the ability to provide more visibility and analytics into your B2B transactions, you need to do that so your business users can get more strategic insights from the data that's flowing through that. And finally, in this segment, it is about being discoverable. Companies typically shied away from sharing information for being part of social network type business networks because they were afraid they would give up competitive information. But that's not the case anymore. You just lose out from not being discoverable as part of a network. And finally, the third step would be to be more predictive and innovative. So once you're able to generate all this data and this insights, you can use it to become predictive. You can use it to layer in cognitive insights. And that becomes more and more valuable and powerful as you can prevent things from happening even before they've got to the point of failure. You participate in multi-enterprise orchestration, like I gave the example of the airline manufacturers. And you coordinate with business to drive new channels and opportunities. So in order to be able to get there, what do you have to do? This is just a call to action or a prescriptive checklist that you will have that you can use in order to evaluate your own B2B situation. So the first one is making innovation a priority. You map your current capabilities to your third platform technologies and see where you can invest in order to become more innovative. You fund innovation based on shifts. Are you in the first year? Do you have to do an operational excellence shift? Are you already there? Can you do an innovation shift? Or do you have to, and can you become a part of the multi-enterprise orchestration shift? You use developers sparingly. You use them for high-value tasks that cannot be offloaded off to business analysts. And you outsource your troubleshooting to a single center, so not everyone is involved in providing troubleshooting. It's the case that operational efficiencies and cost savings will pay for future B2B investments. Go to your senior management and say, you can save this amount of money, and it's been proven again and again that the return on investment on automation is significant and pays for itself in a 2 to 3 year time frame. You get buy-in from your business, and you prove how you can show them how they can be more effective by utilizing these new technologies. And you link to other initiatives that are happening within your organization. And one of the ways IDC always recommends that you do a vendor selection is by considering who you might have within your own infrastructure and seeing if you can leverage opportunities there, but also inviting innovative disruptors, people that are doing new things in B2BI that you might be able to leverage in order to be more competitive. And then there are also niche players that operate in certain industries, so certainly consider that when you do a B2B selection. So really those are the areas that you should be looking at if you're considering revamping your B2B, because you have to become a huge amount, you have to be an integral part of your innovative strategy, your IT strategy going forward. And I think at this point I hand it over to Navdeep to continue Software ET's part of the presentation.
Thank you, Chandana. That was very insightful. So B2B and MFT evolution is part of our digital transformation that is happening, and that is pretty clear. And at Software AG, we believe that B2B and MFT are core technologies for integration, and they are increasingly relevant for digital transformation. Software AG recently launched Digital Business Platform, and let me just hit next. Okay, so this digital business platform, the goal is to enable companies with their digital transformation. And on this slide, we show you a little bit of the components that this platform has. And as you can see, that digital transformation, which requires closer collaboration, the top 3 boxes on this slide are all about analytics, process, and integration. The tighter integration between B2B partners, it needs to be included in your digital processes to be part of the overall process. For complete analytics, and by that analytics, I mean partner performance, SLA analytics, that has to be part of the solution. As Chandana indicated earlier, that faster response times, SLA monitoring, deeper integration between partners, that is all part of our digital business platform, and it is we separate it out into 3 areas: the APIs, the B2B, and MFT. And let's go to the next slide, and we will show you the next level of detail in the business platform. So if you look at the integration side of things, in addition to application integration and cloud and IoT, we have B2B integration and we have API gateway. And they work together, and our MFT solution is also part of the B2B solution. And we are focusing on B2B and MFT in this presentation, but I'll be happy to give you more details and links that you can check out for the API side later on as well. So let's start off with giving you a brief history of our B2B solution. Not many people remember that webMethods was industry's first B2B gateway. In fact, webMethods coined the term B2B gateway, and it's been the #1 B2B gateway for over 17 years with over 1,200 customers. And now we actually have integrated B2B and MFT in one platform. For a while, webMethods only had B2B, and the customers always were on their own to build an MFT solution on top of that B2B solution. And we finally realized that an integrated solution is something that the digital enterprises are today looking at to handle all the inbound file traffic, the outbound file traffic, and as a result, 80% of Fortune 100 companies today either use our B2B or MFT or both. Now, moving on to the next slide, let's talk about the trends for a second. So we have been, as you can see, we know a thing or two about the B2B and MFT market. And let's talk about the B2B trends and what we are seeing in the market. So as Chandana indicated, RESTful APIs, increased adoption of APIs for B2B exchanges. That is happening in the market. We see that as well, and we also see the customers use our integration server to expose B2B APIs for the partners, so that the partners can invoke the API itself. And so we've been doing APIs for a long time, and I will remind the attendees that webMethods was the first service-oriented integration platform, and virtually every service within webMethods can be exposed as an API. Whether SOAP or REST, we support all types of APIs. And let's move to the next trend. And the next trend we see is inclusion of non-transactional data sets. So like business forecasts, production plans, the non-transactional, not the invoices, not the purchase orders, not the payments, but the non-transactional, the design elements, the forecast elements, the production plans, they are being exchanged increasingly with the partners to increase the collaboration that the companies want to establish with the suppliers, with the other business partners on an ongoing basis. The third trend that we see is the increasing demand for real-time B2B and MFT. Gone are the days when you would send a file and the partner will respond back in 24 hours or 48 hours. The SLAs are becoming tighter than ever. We see, SLAs of even seconds, milliseconds these days, and for that, we call it the real-time B2B and MFT. But we can also think in terms of event-driven MFT, event-driven B2B, instead of waiting for the bad job to finish and the file to go out. Companies want real-time B2B. Give me the inventory status right now, right? That will be one use case to represent that. But ultimately, if we consolidate all these trends, what we are seeing in the market is companies are looking for one platform to handle all their B2B, MFT, and APIs. And these APIs and these file transfers could be internal as well, but a lot of this is only focused externally. So based on everything that we just talked about, the trends and where the market is heading, what are the capabilities you need? So first of all, as Chandan and I just talked about, the breadth, right? You need application integration, cloud, B2B, MFT APIs, RESTful APIs, and do you need a dozen solutions, or do you really need a single solution to handle all of that? And as the B2B is going across the border, it is becoming more of a process collaboration between two companies. You need BPM, you need elements of service-oriented architecture, API management as well. And to drive that innovation that is happening, you need hybrid models. If a partner wants to exchange data from their on-premise system, you need on-premise integration. And if they want to integrate cloud, then you need to be able to handle the cloud traffic. And if they're sending you a lot of sensor data, you need to be able to handle IoT type data sets, including the OData for Salesforce connectivity and also any cloud and API connectivity models. And again, the point is you don't really want a dozen different solutions, one for on-premise, one for hybrid, one for IoT, one for OData, one for cloud. And obviously when you're looking at a single solution for handling all these type of innovative areas, you want stability and scalability as well. And that is how we position webMethods. Not only webMethods B2B and MFT has legendary capabilities. As I mentioned earlier, more than 1,200 customers. The top 1 dozen B2B exchanges in this world, they run on webMethods B2B platform. It is highly scalable, highly stable, easy to upgrade, command and control as well. So moving on, I will just touch upon the B2B integration capabilities on a couple of slides before we move on to the MFT. So on this slide, we have our capabilities for the B2B toolset, and obviously B2B has transmission protocols that need to be supported, trading partners, the users from those trading partners that need to be authorized, authenticated, and be granted access to send or receive file, whatever the case may be. And then moving on, you need trading partner management, document translation, service creation, enablement, monitoring, and visibility. And if you look at the dark blue color, that is our integration platform. The reason is that all these capabilities are either supported on the B2B side or the platform side. Our B2B actually sits on top of the integration platform, so we only have one solution. So you want to connect to packaged apps, Oracle or SAP or databases, legacy mainframes, mobile. The integration platform actually helps you connect with all those systems so that you can bring the data out, convert it into an EDI or XML format, and send it out using AS123 or even AS4 or a RESTful API. So, and while you're doing all that, you need constant monitoring and visibility into the data which is going out, just to make sure that the right data is going out, but also to monitor the SLAs, which SLAs are being met and which SLAs are being violated either by yourself or by the partner. Just a little bit more into the EDI and EDI int support. Traditionally, we have seen that companies who are even doing APIs for B2B, they need both. They need the modern way of doing B2B, which is APIs, and they also need the EDI and EDI int type capabilities, because more than 70% of your partners are actually still using EDI and EDI int. So obviously, parsing, validating EDI and XML data sets, generating functional acknowledgements, managing control numbers and sequences, and ultimately transacting real time with the partners is something that you want. Our solution is certified by Drummond, which is an authority for certifying B2B solutions, and we have AS1, 2, 3, and 4. We have direct integration to internal data sources or legacy EDI, as I indicated on the last slide, and real-time and or batch processing. The fact of the matter is that files are not going away. They're not going away anytime soon. So we live in a world which is a mix of real-time and batch. Now, how do you have one product which is supporting both real-time and batch? And when we talk about real-time, it becomes even more complicated, because real-time could now even mean you are getting sensor data in real-time, or you are processing transactions in real-time. And also you may have some mobile interfaces which are getting data from mobile devices in real-time. And we'll touch upon that in a minute, but the ultimate the point here is that we support all these styles of integration: real-time and batch, the legacy versus modern. Most of the products that we go out to the market with, they are certified by Drummond, wherever Drummond certification applies. And when we say we support EDI, we just don't support half the set of X12. We support X12 completely. We support EDIFACT for European transactions and European companies completely. We support ODET FTP completely. And we support even the legacy EDI standards like Tradicom's, UCS, and VIX. So this is, in essence, a very wide range of B2B standards. It goes way beyond the standards you would commonly use. And the reason for doing that is, in the digital economy, you have to support all these standards to offer more services, more products to the customers. And you will end up dealing with one or two partners who are still using a B2B standard from 30 years ago. And you will always have some partners which are on the cutting edge. So you need an integration platform which can handle both the cutting edge standards like the APIs, and also the traditional mechanisms, and also the legacy mechanisms. And we provide a complete range of options for those type of B2B. So this slide is a little bit about B2B trends, but again, it also talks about the basic needs and the advanced needs of digital from B2B, right? So real-time B2B communication is coming up, XML, EDI, all formats, or even REST, API portals to expose data and services, enhanced need for security, encryption, and compression, and ultimately the need to connect partners of all sizes in your digital supply chain initiatives. $1 million vendor, a $10 million versus $1 billion vendor, they all have different size IT. They all have different capabilities in terms of how they can do B2B with you. They all have very different capabilities on the security encryption standards, and the smaller vendors may not even care about security of the data, but it may be a nightmare for you to handle and deal with those kind of partners. So we offer a broad range of solutions to handle all the digital needs from the B2B side. And the dark blue boxes on the right-hand side, you can see some of the pain points or the areas that I have highlighted where we actually do extremely well. So automated onboarding. When you're onboarding 500 partners or 1,000 partners, you don't want to onboard all the partners yourself. You have to have an automated way to onboard those partners. So we have a complete automated onboarding solution which can onboard those partners for B2B and create the partner profiles for you in the B2B solution automatically. The exchange of electronic documents over all protocols. And the funny thing here is we would assume that as technology has advanced, the number of protocols will actually shrink. But we are seeing the reverse happening. Even within the API world, we are seeing different API standards, different types of APIs that companies are exposing. And you just need to have a wide range of protocol support to be able to handle all different types of electronic document interchanges for in today's digital world. So digital has actually made B2B a little bit more complex because now you have to have a wide range of both protocol and electronic document standard support. Things like REST and JSON increasingly being adopted across the world, especially in the developing countries. They offer quick, low-cost implementation. In addition to the regular industry standards, which are evolving as well, we see big trends around custom standards. Every country is now becoming digital. When the truck goes from one country to another, even the customs organizations are all accepting and also giving out data in the electronic format. So we see the digital revolution happening at every level within the B2B supply chain. Finally, we have some industry standards that you need to think of as well. Now, if you operate in let's say you're a retailer and you talk to the electronics vendors and you have some medical devices that you sell as well, and then you talk to your bank, and you just consider these 2 or 3 scenarios. You will be needing support for ZNet, you will need perhaps some HL7 support, and finally you will need some ACH support to talk to your bank and process payments as well, or perhaps SWIFT support as well if you're doing some interbank transfers. Now, how do you support all these industry standards? You can either rely on your ERP for very basic support for some of these standards, or you can have an integration backbone which provides complete support for all these industry standards, document formats, validation, and processes. And then on top of that, you can have open and proprietary protocols, and you can support all of them in a single solution. And not only that, you can future-proof as the standards evolve. You can be rest assured that Software AG's web methods will be the integration tool that evolves with time. Moving on. Now we move on to the MFT side of things. Now Software AG had this B2B solution, and why did we just bring out an MFT solution a few years ago? And the reason is that in the economy, in the digital transformation in this modern world, file transfers are becoming more complex. As Chandana indicated earlier on, the companies are exchanging more files with more partners every day. And these partners could be suppliers, customers, shippers. And now we see a lot of cloud. When you go out and buy a SaaS application, the last thing on your mind is how you will integrate that cloud application with the rest of your on-premise infrastructure. And files can be a very viable option in addition to the APIs. So when you exchange these files, we have talked to companies who had 200 plus FTP servers, and most of them are not secure enough to meet the modern needs for security. But if you look at the overarching MFT landscape, it has become very complex. The file transfer needs have grown, and the wide range, whether you're exchanging different types of files, files with different types of partners, and some of them are encrypted, some of them are not, and some of them go over SFTP with PGP encryption, and some of them are just going through regular FTP or HTTPS. It is a very complex world out there. So to solve this, we launched Active Transfer Gateway, Active Transfer Server 2 years ago, and we are happy to say that we have 100 customers using that product today in just a little 2 years. It's been one of the most successful products we have launched in the recent times. So Active Transfer Gateway and Server, they work together. The gateway is in the DMZ zone, and Active Transfer Server stays on your on-premise environment on top of your web methods integration platform, and they together handle all commonly used protocols for file transfer like SFTP, HTTPS, WebDAV, SCP, and also the PGP, which is the de facto standard for encryption these days. Quick glance at the web methods active transfer features. all types of commonly used data encryption standards, compression, data transfer protocols we just talked about, and also transfer management. These advanced features are very unique. You can accelerate large files. If you're transferring multiple gigabytes of data from point A to point B, let's say from Singapore to US, and you can just accelerate those transfers using this proprietary and patented technology. And any of your partners can use it as well. It's a web browser-based technology that speeds up the file transfers and basically gives you the guaranteed delivery and the real-time messaging and file transfer all into one product. It supports copy, move, rename, delete, all types, commonly used commands as well. And the power of the platform is that that webMethods has hundreds of services, and this is tightly integrated with webMethods. So you receive a file from a partner, and you have to kick off a SAP IDOC in the next 5 minutes. You can do that all in one process. You can receive the file, convert it into XML or IDOC, and just invoke any service that you have developed in the integration platform. That comprehensiveness, that unique MFT on top of integration server is just a powerful combination to handle the complex file transfer needs of today. And this solution is able to handle both the internal files as well as the external files. For the internal, you will not need the gateway component because the file transfer is happening internally. But if you are exchanging files externally with partners, then you can obviously you will need the gateway component as well. So we are towards the tail end of my slides, but this slide highlights all our capabilities for the webMethods platform. We are known for application integration. We have probably 10,000 customers using it globally. webMethods is a big name in integration. And then we have BPMS and operational intelligence. Along with our ARIS for BPA and webMethods BPMS, we are well known in the as a BPMS vendor. And recently we have launched an API portal on top of our Centra Site SOA governance product. Now, API management on top of webMethods just opens up immense possibilities, because everything that you have, you were able to expose as a service prior to this, but now you can actually have a developer portal on top of that where you can expose APIs to enable B2B and any other type of API scenarios for your partner integration or your developer integration. I think I've talked enough about B2B and MFT today, so I'll skip that. And not to mention, we have a wonderful MDM solution in our One Data product as part of the webMethods family. And lastly, we are actively working on building new capabilities around IoT. We have some great customers who use us for IoT type scenarios today, and you will see more of that coming out very soon. And essentially, it is one platform. If you talk to any other vendor, you will see that for the capabilities that I've listed on this slide, they will have a dozen or maybe 2 dozen products which are not integrated together. But it is really one platform on the webMethods side. Now, a few items, I'm seeing some questions popping up, and we'll take some questions in a few minutes, but I just wanted to highlight a few things. So first of all, we have a free trial of webMethods. Now, there are many integration vendors out there, and you will see the vendors have a free trial which goes from 30 days to 60 days. Our free trial goes for 6 months, because we want you to give you ample time to download, try out different features of the product. Now, the good news is that the free trial is available to anybody, and it's available for 6 months. And we recently launched webMethods 9.9, and that free trial is actually coming out next week. So you can click on this URL, and you can download the latest. You can download the free trial for 9.8 today, but 9.9 will be coming out next week. And that free trial contains integration platform, B2B, EDI, EDI, MFT, and a host of other capabilities, including our universal messaging, which is our messaging product. And they all work together, and you can also check out the demo videos. So we didn't have time to cover APIs in this call, but as we mentioned several times, I think APIs are at the forefront of B2B integration today, and we recently did several demos of our API technology. In fact, we do a demo every week on Wednesday. We call it Web Methods Wednesdays. So I would highly encourage you to check out our Web Methods Wednesday webinars on a weekly basis, and those API demos have already been posted on our YouTube. So what we do is we do a Web Methods Wednesday demo, and then afterwards we post a recording to the YouTube channel. So we don't have time to cover the APIs in this call, but you can certainly go to this URL on the Software AG playlist and click on the Web Methods demo, Web Methods Wednesdays demos, and you can see all the API demos and how easy it is to expose an API quickly using Web Methods API portal. 2 live demos coming up. On November 25th, we will talk about our MDM product and creating an MDM domain model in 15 minutes. And then what's new in Web Methods 9.9 that is upcoming. It is not a Web Methods Wednesday, which is a bit unusual, but we are hosting it on Thursday, December 3rd. And then afterward, we'll try to handle the questions as much as we can. But if you would like to speak to an expert, want to drill down or see a demo, just shoot me a note. And there's also another email, simply wm@softwareag.com. With that, I will open up for questions. Chandana, actually, the first couple of questions are for you. Can you please highlight digital trends specific to B2B?
Sure, Navdeep. I think both your and my presentation, we talked about a lot of the trends that are happening, and just to repeat or highlight them, it's about being able to be innovative and be able to connect to your trading partners using new technologies. So extending out that integration using APIs, extending out that innovation with your availability to your trading partners using the API, the value and the power of the API economy is certainly the forefront of the trends that we're seeing. And we're seeing more and more business network participation, so compute happening on a business network scale, where if I have an application that I have a trouble ticket application running in my operations, you can, it automatically connects to yours without any manual. There's no more waiting on the phone for someone to call me back and trying to see what something is, when something goes wrong. It's being able to automate and having that connectivity across multi-enterprise orchestrations. And also the other thing that we're seeing is graphing. We're seeing a lot of interesting work happening with graphing networks, so using graphing technology and graphing databases to be able to see the entire universe of everyone that might be in your area in a supply chain. So how you can use the power of graph networks to be able to say, okay, if I have, if this is part of my supply chain route, or this is part of my logistics provider network, who else can I use if I need to, expand into a new market, if I need to expand into a new industry, and being able to utilize those kind of social graphs to get that kind of information. But aside from that, I think we've covered a lot of the trends within the presentation itself.
Correct, and thank you, Chandana, for that. I believe the next question is for you as well. And the question is, we have partners that change all the time. What features of B2B integration can help in this scenario?
So when you're looking at your trading partner integration, you want to be able to get something that has a lot of reusability in the way it's set up. So if there are changes, those changes don't have to be made everywhere. You can reuse components. You can isolate components, and it becomes more of a modular approach, and you don't change an end-to-end process or have a separate process for each trading partner. So you can say, okay, my partner is changing this map. what are the impacts, and then what can I reuse in the available library that I have set up for my B2B operations in order to minimize the changes. And it's valuable to spend some time evaluating which vendors can give you that visibility across, especially across touch points that impact multiple applications, and choosing it if change management is an important part, and also being able to say, okay, which B2B vendors offer the ability to be able to say, okay, so I'm getting all these changes from my trading partner. How do I actually have to implement those changes? Do I have a test environment that I can easily access to be able to say, okay, I'm testing this change, it's good to go, and I can put it into production really quickly without having to do a lot of changes within my environmental structure as well.
Thanks, Chandana. A few questions that I think I can handle. The first one is, we are a mainframe shop. How can SoftwareAG solutions work with our mainframe? And the answer there is that SoftwareAG's original products were AWS and Natural. So if anybody can integrate with your mainframe, that is us. And so when I said earlier that we provide a complete range of integration solutions, we can connect with cloud databases, ERPs. We can also connect very well with mainframe. So that is not a problem at all. The next question is, how do B2B and MFT work together as a product? Do we need both? Now, our strategy is to provide one comprehensive platform which is easy to use, deploy, manage, and update. Now, our B2B and MFT, they both install on top of our integration backbone, the integration server product. Now, you may need one or you may need both, and I'll give you some examples. So if all you care about is exchanging files, internally or externally, with a handful of protocols, and let's say your file transfers need all the bells and whistles, you need security encryption, you need acceleration, and the accounting, reporting, and whatnot, bandwidth controls. So you can do all that with the MFT product, which is Active Transfer. But if you need to do B2B translation, you need to get EDI and complex transformations between different file formats. Let's say you're getting an X12 document, but you are sending it to your supplier to Europe and you want it to be converted into an EDIFACT document. Then you will obviously need the B2B product. As a general rule of thumb, B2B and MFT, a lot of our customers, they use both because they want to handle different types of use cases using a different product. Each product is suitable for a specific type of use case, but you can, depending upon the use case and the project that you have in mind, it might very well be that you only need one of these products. We have actually a bunch of questions on APIs, and I would answer a few, how our API is different from SOA. So and I will answer this question more from an operational standpoint, that APIs are increasingly exposing data and services externally. SOA was more of a design paradigm and architectural style. But no matter what design patterns you have within your IT, but when you are trying to expose that information out for consumption, for mobile, for developers who want to build apps, or you are simply trying to offer data or content which is being consumed by third parties, then the APIs are the de facto standard. We are seeing increasing adoption on the API side there as well. I think we have answered all the questions. We are at 3 p.m. right now. So what we will do is we will try to answer some of the questions which we are not able to answer later on via email. And in the meantime, you have my email address and you have Chandana's email address as well. Feel free to reach out to us. And Chandana, thank you so much for joining me today and providing some useful insights. And wish you all a very wonderful rest of Thursday. Thank you.